You know, you're good at your job. Actually, let me be a little more specific. You're probably better at your job than most of the people around you. You hit your targets, you stay late when it really counts, and you do exactly what you said you were going to do. And yet, you've watched, probably more than once, as someone else got the promotion.
Usually, the standard advice you get is to just work harder or, go practice some generic list of soft skills. But in this explainer, we're skipping all of that. We're going to dive straight into the source material on the actual hidden psychology behind how promotion decisions truly get made. Because it turns out, performance, that's simply the baseline minimum. Perception is the actual job. Once we unpack the systems and the research today, I promise you, you won't be able to unsee them.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the competence illusion. Why doing more won't get you there.
So this is the first major psychological hurdle holding incredibly talented, high-performing professionals back from that next level. Psychologists call it the competence assumption. It's this belief, and it's so deeply embedded in high performers that you probably don't even realize you hold it, that if you do excellent work, that work is going to naturally be noticed, valued, and just automatically rewarded. And hey, it sounds completely fair, right? But the harsh reality is that excellent work that remains invisible earns absolutely nothing. Promotions are not just automatically handed out as a reward for doing your day job well.
To really prove this, let's look at the data. Research from Harvard Business Review across thousands of employees and hundreds of managers consistently shows a pretty shocking pattern. The employees most likely to be promoted were not necessarily the highest performers. Let that sink in for a second. Instead, they were the employees whose performance was most visible to the people making the decisions. The difference between two people with identical output isn't capability, it's cognitive presence. Who knows what you've done is actually way more important than what you've done.
And that brings us to this concept of mental availability. Look, managers are just human. Their decisions are heavily shaped by who they're already thinking about when a name doesn't just come up naturally. If there's a sudden opening, your manager is naturally going to default to the 3 people they spoke with that week. The inconvenient truth here is that leaders are often making advancement decisions based on a highly incomplete picture of who is doing what in their organization. If you're technically present but mentally absent for the person holding the pen, well, you're going to get passed over. You aren't going to change human nature, but you can understand it and operate inside it with intention.
Moving on to Section 2, the readiness signal, what your manager is actually watching for.
To really understand this, we've got to shift our focus to the micro-observations your managers are making every single day. We're talking up to 12 months before a formal promotion conversation even happens. Your manager is not evaluating your past, they're evaluating your future. By the time your name enters a promotion discussion, the decision is already mostly made. Not in that room, but over months of tiny, everyday observations. In every meeting, in every hallway conversation, every little crisis, they're unconsciously looking for proof. They're asking themselves, does this person already operate with the scope, the judgment, and the instincts of someone who already has the job they want?
Now, what's really interesting about this research is that the readiness signal has absolutely nothing to do with checking off boxes on your current job description. It is entirely behavioral. It's about whether the version of you that shows up every day focuses on outcomes instead of just tasks. Are you solving problems before bringing them to your boss? Are you actively making the people around you better? Because they're looking for behavioral proof of your future capacity.
So the absolute key takeaway here is this. You cannot get promoted to a role you haven't started playing yet. Most people just wait around for the title change to start acting like they have the authority. But the people who actually successfully move up, they start acting like they have the job at least 6 months before they even ask for it. They're already doing the work of the next level.
All right, Section 3, relationship architecture. This is the part people usually just call politics because they don't really understand it.
There's a hard truth that high performers strongly resist, and it's this. The fastest risers in an organization are rarely the absolute best at the technical skills of their job, but they are almost always the best connected. So you have to ask yourself, every promotion decision is a conversation. Who is speaking for you in that room? Now, the research isn't talking about being a sycophant or playing toxic office games. Not at all. It's talking about the deliberate strategic building of professional relationships with people who influence decisions, and doing it long before you ever actually need anything from them.
The numbers back this up in a massive way. A landmark study on organizational behavior found that employees who actively invest in lateral and upward relationships are 3 times more likely to be promoted within a 2-year window compared to equally talented employees who just keep their heads down and do their jobs in isolation. 3 times. When I saw that in the data, it literally blew my mind. And again, it's not because they're better at their jobs. It's strictly because of who knows them.
So the crucial point is you have to build advocates, not just a resume.
Every promotion decision is a group decision. Think about who has actual influence over your career. Cross-functional leaders, the manager above your manager, those senior individual contributors who get asked for their read on people. When your name comes up in that room, those people need to have a specific story to tell about you. Because silence from them, that means your name just moves right off the whiteboard.
Okay, Section 4, the 3-move framework. Tactical steps you can start taking next week. The sources don't just leave us with the problem. They outline a highly actionable 3-part tactical framework. Step 1 is the weekly signal. Step 2 is the next level problem. And Step 3 is the relationship deposit. Let's move and see how this builds, because these aren't just random tasks. These are strategic moves that totally compound over time to drastically change how you're perceived in your organization. Here's the breakdown of the weekly signal. Once a week, every single week, you're going to send your manager a simple 3-line message. Line 1, what you finished. Line 2, what you're working on. Line 3, what you need from them. That is it. This isn't a traditional, boring status update where you list every single email you answered. This is visibility engineering. It intentionally keeps your name and your work mentally present for the person who matters most without taking up a single meeting or sounding like you're showing off or begging for a gold star. Remember, you're not bragging, you are informing. There's a profound difference there.
Next up is the next level problem. Your goal here is to identify and propose a solution to one problem that sits just above your pay grade. I'm talking about a problem your manager is actively dealing with, not your current responsibilities. Bring them a proposed solution just once. You aren't overstepping. You're brilliantly planting the seed that you already think at the level you want to be paid for. Honestly, one well-placed idea does more for your promotion chances than 1,000 perfectly executed daily tasks.
And the final piece of the framework is the relationship deposit. Once a month, make a point to have a genuine, non-work interaction with someone 2 levels above you. This isn't about scheduling a stiff formal meeting or putting on a big performance. It's a quick coffee, an authentic question about their work, or maybe just some genuine positive feedback on a decision they made. Just be a normal human being. Because ultimately, when those promotion conversations happen, people advocate for real people they actually like and know, not just lists of outputs on a resume.
Finally, Section 5, the hard truth, the gap between the imagined system and reality. Let's slow down for just a second here, because this is really the emotional core of this whole explainer. Everything we've covered, the visibility strategy, the readiness signal, the relationship architecture, frankly, none of it should be necessary. You should be able to just do great work in isolation and have it recognized. That's the fair version of the world. But we have to accept that waiting to be discovered is a strategy. It's just a really bad one. The gap between how organizations claim they make promotion decisions and how they actually make them is enormous. The unwritten rules of advancement exist everywhere. They are social, psychological, and relational. And they consistently, without fail, favor the people who figure them out early and learn to operate inside the real system instead of the imagined one.
So, the final question the research leaves us with is this. Are you still waiting to be discovered? Now that we've unpacked the hidden psychology of promotion, it really changes how you look at the office, doesn't it? Stop waiting for the system to suddenly notice you. Take control of your cognitive presence, send those readiness signals, and build the relationships that actually matter. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to take a moment right now and reflect on what is truly keeping you stuck. I'll see you in the next one.